Hi everybody and welcome to Hann-Made Studio. I'm Cheryl Hann-Woodlock. Today I'm going to be road testing this. It's Prep Multi-Purpose Adhesive. I've used it, I found it really good, but I'm going to tell you guys a little bit more so you know what this adhesive can do and can't do. See you soon. Okay, so let's talk about the advantages of Prep Multi-Purpose Adhesive. It works brilliantly on glass to glass. It actually holds quite well. It's quite a viscous glue. It dries clear. It's quite thick, but it doesn't bubble too much, so it's a good glue to use. It does take a while to dry. The other thing I like, now this is not a PVA glue, it is actually different. So it's not going to dissolve in water. You can also use it as a primer, so that is the other advantage. It will glue almost any porous surface. Having said that, it will glue glass to glass. It will glue onto cement sheeting, which is your hardy board. It will glue onto timber and cement and ceramic, so it is a great all-purpose glue. The only thing is that you can't work with it on vertical surfaces, but who cares? We'll start and I'll show you how good this is. The Prep Multi-Purpose Adhesive comes in a big bottle. I don't mind using it in a big bottle, but I'm going to show you several ways that I do apply this glue for glass on glass. So I've got my sheet of glass here, and I'm going to put this also into, I've got a little squeezy bottle, and that means I don't have to pick this up. It means I can just use the squeezy bottle through here. The other way I'm going to show you is using a paintbrush, and we'll get started. Now with using the squeezy bottle, it makes the application a little bit easier. So what I can do is I can actually apply this on. Now I'm applying it just around the border. I find that I work better with tweezers, because when these are so small that when I place them down, my fingers actually sit in the glue. So it's a little bit easier sometimes with just the tweezers. I'm just going to place that on. Now there's a little bit of oozing out, but that means that you won't get grout bleed, and it will settle back in without an issue. Squeezing the bottle out and using the nozzle as an applicator to go around. So I'll just do a little bit more. So the other way I like to work, and I find for some people it's better than the nozzle, because the nozzle is not as smooth and as even. So I actually end up using a paintbrush. So I'll show you how I work with that. We can use the large bottle of the Prep Multi, squeeze it out onto a palette. And when you look at that, there are not a lot of bubbles and it's quite viscous. So it actually gives a really good finish. And I can just dip my paintbrush in and paint that on. Now, not being a porous surface, it's going to take a while to dry, and that's going to be perfect for when I place my tiles on. Got a little bit of glue there, so I'm just cleaning that. And they do move around, as I said. And all the way through. So on the side where I just squeezed, I've got a bit more glue coming up in between. Where I've painted on, there is less glue. Now, if you noticed, I left my paintbrush in the water. That's so that the glue doesn't dry out. Remember, this glue is not water soluble, so if you leave your paintbrush out and it dries, you're going to ruin a paintbrush. So my recommendation is to put it straight into the water, and before you use it, dip it into the glue. Just dry it on that damp. Just get that excess water off the damp towel. Now I can reuse it and apply more glue on. Now this glue is going to move around for about half an hour, so I can't lift it up. I do have to slide it around on my table to check, and I can also just gently move things around that way. So I need to slide my board around and not knock it. If I knock it, I'm going to knock my tiles off. If I bump anything, the glue will move. So the glass on glass, you do have to be very careful that you don't touch anything once it's laid on. If you're worried about how much movement you're going to get, the recommendation is do little areas at a time, wait, and then come back and do some more. With this particular piece, when I was working, I worked on each surface flat. I did the outside first, then I put this on, and I waited for it to dry. So I did it in small areas at a time. It was everything did move a little bit, so I just made sure that I kept going back and checking the placement of the tiles. So the downside of this glue, it does dry beautifully clear, but tiles do move around when you work glass on glass. There are other ways of applying this glue rather than going straight from the nozzle. What I can do is I can brush it on. And again, this has stuck really, really quickly. So what I'm going to do now with my paintbrush, pop it in the water so the paintbrush doesn't dry, because remember, this is not PVA base. This is a glue that becomes permanent when it is dries, and you don't want to ruin your paintbrush. So into the water it goes. And that is holding its shape, so it's not moving, which is fantastic. The next way to apply your glue is to put it onto the tile and then put it onto the board. So I'll show you that way. The other way to apply your tile to the board, instead of putting it straight onto the board, you can actually put it onto your tile and then put it onto the board. We can use it straight from the bottle. The only thing is this little lever might get in the way, and the bottle is quite heavy. And it doesn't give you as much control if we use the big container. So let's go to this little container, the squeezy bottle, and do it this way. Now that was a lot easier. It gave me more control. I knew how much glue I was actually putting onto my tile. So going from a small tile, from a small bottle and putting it onto your tile and placing it down is a really easy way of doing this. And again, these are holding their shape nicely straight onto that board. The other beauty of this board is that this prep multi-purpose adhesive can be used as a sealant. So if you want to seal your cement sheeting to make sure that it's going to stick and not the glue dry so fast, we can actually brush a coat of this prep multi-purpose adhesive, a thin coat on first, and then we can tile our work. So away we go. And brush into the water. That was really easy. By sealing all of this, it means that my glue is not going to dry as quickly. Is that good or is that bad? Let's see. Now, feeling that, it's not really tacky. It's a little bit tacky, but it's not sticky. And so that's actually almost sealed. But the other thing too is, do they slide off? No, they're holding their form. So this is really good. It means if I knock these, they're actually not going to move. So sealing your board first before you actually tiling is a really good idea with this multi-prep adhesive. Now with these pieces of glass that I just put on, some of them are translucent. Well, they all are translucent. They're a little millifiori. And I made sure that I had a lot of glue on the board so that when I grout, I won't get any grout bleed. And grout bleed means that the grout won't go under the glass and I will see the black grout sitting under the actual tile. So I have enough glue on this that it's going to cover the tiles and I'm not going to see that grout coming through with the grout bleed. So I can't jiggle this tile around yet. I might have to wait around about half an hour and just be careful so I don't get any of these tiles out of place. So these tiles are all glued down now. I've actually used my ceramic, my handmade tiles, and I put a fair bit of glue down, but they should stick without any issue. So they're a little bit lumpy and bumpy, but that will be fine. These leaves are glued on the back as well. So they're going to behave like glass, and we know that the Prep multi-adhesive glues the glass to glass. So it's not going to be an issue and it will be a strong bond. The road test, thumbs up. I'm really liking this glue. It is a multi-purpose glue, which is what it says it is. It does glass on glass really well. It gives a lovely clear finish when it's dry. Glue on the cement sheeting. I loved the way that you could lay down your tiles, or lay down the glue, lay down your tiles, and it got a really good grip almost straight away, which meant that you weren't going to knock the tiles off their pattern. So that was really good. They weren't sliding around. If you did a little bit of a thicker application, yes, they were going to slide around a little bit, but that was a choice for grout bleed versus the adherence straight away. So as a glue, I think it's really good for outside purposes. It's got a winning tag there. It is not waterproof, it's water resistant. So if you're going to do it on your cement sheeting, make sure, and if you're going to do it in your bird baths or water features, make sure that you use a grout that is waterproof, and that way you should be fine. It won't be an issue. So a thumbs up for me, Prep multi-adhesive. I'd give it a go. Just a word of warning, this Prep multi-adhesive is not a PVA glue. It will not dissolve in water. So make sure that you do clean all your tools thoroughly when you finish your job. Make sure you do have the sponge handy so you can clean your hands, because this is not easily going to come off. Even though it's not waterproof, it's water resistant, but it's just not going to dissolve really quickly. Okay. So thank you. If you like what you saw today, could you please hit that like button? Remember to subscribe and ring that bell. I have lots of videos for you to tune into and lots of really good ideas. So thank you for watching. Bye.